Hello, talk show music fans. We're here today with Jerad Lee.
How you doing?
Elite recording artist who has a brand new single out called "It's Over Goodbye," which is starting to move up the charts. And we're gonna discuss a few things about Jerad.
Okay.
First of all, you're from Boston, right?
Yes.
You're from Boston?
Yeah, I'm from Boston, Massachusetts. And the only reason I don't have the accent is because my mom grew up in Los Angeles and my dad grew up in New York. So I think the coast canceled it out.
Does your dad have an accent or not?
No, my dad doesn't really have a New York accent.
Oh.
My mom actually grew up with a British accent because even though she was born in LA, she was raised in London. But that kind of went away because she came to the States and went to college. So.
And she lost her accent completely?
Lost the accent completely.
So, but you grew up in Boston.
I grew up in Boston, yeah.
Your music career started there, basically.
Well, yeah, I guess kind of the development started there. I was involved in different kind of groups in high school, like a cappella groups and jazz bands, and I got to play a lot of different instruments, not many of which I was too good at, except piano and keys. I was kind of my best. I tried the drums, was not great at drums. We all had to do the recorder thing. You remember that, right?
Yeah, playing recorder in like
everybody has
junior high or something. Yeah.
What else?
Squeaky recorders.
I mean, I think I played violin for a little bit. I actually played saxophone for a while.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, and I was pretty good at saxophone.
But you ended up on piano. That's your main instrument.
I ended up on piano because when I started writing songs, it was easiest for me to kind of get my ideas down on the piano. And
you started writing at a young age, or?
I started writing, more when I was kind of like 18, 19. Basically what happened was I didn't really understand how the songwriting process worked. And so I discovered that, people write songs and pitch songs. So I started meeting with some publishing companies, and they would kind of send me some songs or show me songs that other people had written. And I just felt like I wasn't really connecting to other people's material. Obviously, I wasn't getting to look at, the high caliber songs at that point. But I just felt like I wanted to take a stab at it on my own. And so I had taken piano lessons at a young age, and I was like, well, this is a perfect time to bring this back. And
so
maybe I can actually show the parents that the lessons, there was a reason for the lessons.
I was going to say, did your parents, were your parents those type of parents that pushed you along? And
Well, they were always incredibly supportive, and it wasn't really a push, like you have to do this. Right. It was kind of like, a suggestion with a little bit of a push.
You can go out to the movies, or if you do this, or whatever.
Music was something that my dad really enjoyed doing, and my mom had in her life also, so we would sing in the car a lot and things like that.
So is your dad a musician?
He's not a musician, but I'm going to get in trouble for how I describe him. I better do it the right way. He's not a musician, but he's musically inclined.
Oh, okay.
So he plays a couple instruments, and he can sing on key and things like that I think helped me as I was growing up. But
so when did your career really start to get some traction, and how? What did you do, or where were you?
I think the major kind of breaking point for me, going from I really enjoy music to I really want to make this my life and my career, was in New York. I was in New York for a little bit, and I'd signed a production deal there with a producer, and that was kind of not my first exposure to studio life, but it was probably my most intense, because I would be in the studio consistently and have, musicians around, and I saw how production started. Prior to that, I had been in some writing sessions and gotten to work with some producers, but it was probably being in New York for a little bit, and then I was also out in Europe for a little bit, working with a guy out in England and in Ibiza off the coast of Spain, this guy Mark Hill.
Wow.
And, just...
It's kind of exotic place to be just working on music.
And I was literally just getting started, but to be real about it, I really didn't know who I was at that point. I knew my favorite singers, I knew how to sing like them, but that's kind of all I knew. I didn't really know much about my own identity and how I would create music that would, be personal and kind of my own thing. But what ended up happening is over time, you work with more and more people. I started to figure out kind of where I was the strongest in terms of the content and the melodies and all that. And then you kind of put your body of work together and you pick out the songs that you feel people are reacting to the most and all that. And that's kind of how I arrived kind of to the present day, where I feel now I know who I am, I know what my sound is, and I'm really excited to share it with people.
Well, you're on a smaller label, Elite Music, but I know that in the past you had some opportunities with larger labels.
Yeah.
And how did that go? I mean, how did you end up on a smaller label when you're?
I think that
especially when you have a national record out that's starting to get activity.
Yeah. Well, I think that the climate today in the music industry is completely different than it was, years ago, and now you don't necessarily need that major label kind of to get started, and people are finding ways to expose their music, whether it's online or live or whatever, and jumpstart, their careers themselves. And for me, I kind of started dealing with some of those major labels at times where I personally don't think I was there yet. I was still discovering who I was, and it probably wouldn't have been best for me to move forward with projects at that time with those places, because it wouldn't have been, kind of my best introduction, I think, to me. So I'm kind of happy now to have a little bit more of the control and, to expose some work that I've done that I'm really happy with and know is mine. And I think I think that'll be more rewarding both for me and for the audience, that the kind of the time was put in, and, I didn't.
So, but you have a finished album that's coming out when?
When
are the albums coming out? You got an album and an EP coming out, or an EP and an album.
Well, basically what we did is we recorded the whole album, and we decided we're going to first put out an EP of 5 to 6 songs we're going to be doing. It's either going to be 5 or 6, and that's going to be out October 4th. Okay. It's called Falling Through Holes. That'll be the EP. Okay. It'll be available on iTunes, everywhere online, and probably in some stores too, but definitely on iTunes.
So you'll have a physical CD?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then what we'll probably do is either put out another EP, or we'll add a few more songs to the rest of the album that's already been done, and then release that as an album.
Gotcha.
So, a little bit down the road. But yeah, I can't wait. I'm just so excited now, after kind of being in the studio and getting the material together, to finally get out and share it with audiences live and play. It's a whole new experience, and it's really rewarding to kind of get to share that intimacy with an audience.
Now, did you work with a producer to do this album, or did you do it yourself? And did you write with other writers? Mm-hmm. Did you write with, how did you? So
I was fortunate to work with a lot of different writers. When I moved out to LA, I was fortunate to sign a publishing deal with a company called Chrysalis. It's now called BMG Chrysalis.
Yeah, Chrysalis. They've been around for a long time.
Yeah, so they were very helpful in kind of getting me from A to B, because they really facilitated the exposure and got me in the rooms with some other writers and producers. So on this particular album, there are a bunch of different co-writers. I either wrote or co-wrote every song with someone else. And the producer, I'd gotten to work with a lot of people, and I found this guy in Nashville who was kind of a newer producer, and we just clicked, and we just kind of went for it, and I think we came up with something really strong. So his name is Mike Crumpus. He's out of Nashville now. The album's not country, but there's a lot of pop stuff going on in Nashville.
It's a great album.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's competitive. More than competitive with what's out there, and it's got a sound, your own sound to it. It's a really great album.
I appreciate it. So I'm just I'm kind of in this phase now where I want to get out there and play for as many people as I can, and just share what I've been working on for a long time, and hope that leads me to where I want to go.
Well, I know that you've been out on a tour of radio stations and seen different programmers and such, and you're out with another guitar player named Jeremy. Mm-hmm. So why don't we have a listen to your would you play it?
Yeah, we'll play the single. It's Over Goodbye.
All right, thanks.
Cool. I'm Jerad Lee. This is Jeremy. We're gonna play my first single, It's Over Goodbye, live from the Marriott here in Salt Lake City. That's why we're sitting on a bed. So, all right, here we go. Whoa. Started out like the perfect story, on the heels of a beautiful lie. Didn't know you were holding a secret inside. Yeah, I used to be the one with all the glory, standing like a soldier on the front line, till you came and you stripped me of all of my pride. Yeah, but I'm back and I'ma show you how it's gonna be. Subtract any possibility of me. Don't ask, cause I don't know the answers, and I'm hanging up the phone. It's over, I said it's over. Yeah, it's over, goodbye. It's over, I said it's over. Yeah, it's over, goodbye. Oh. I don't need to give you one good reason. I hope you're ready for your empty bed. I don't care if you fall to your knees and cry. Ooh, so many times that I tried to reach you, you broke me after I brought you in. I was cold all alone, I was losing my mind, my mind. But I'm back and I'ma tell you how it's gonna be. Subtract any possibility, don't ask, cause I don't know the answers, and I'm hanging up the phone. It's over, I said it's over. Yeah, it's over, goodbye. Ooh, it's over, I said it's over. Yeah, it's over, goodbye. And you grow, and you grow, and you grow stronger from your past. And you grow, and you grow, and you grow stronger from your past. It's over, I said it's over. Yeah, it's over, goodbye. Oh, it's over, I said it's over. Yeah, it's over, goodbye. Whoa, whoa, whoa. So take all your things and go. I don't want you anymore. And one day you're gonna grow stronger from your past. So take all your things and go. I don't want you anymore. No. One day you're gonna grow stronger from your past. It's over. Said it's over. Goodbye. Goodbye. Goodbye.